But can I just ask you this simple question? Why is it necessary when someone feels that they can no longer abide the organisation and has to dissociate, why is it necessary to shun them? Why can't they keep having social contact with those people who happen to remain in the organisation?
Well, I'd say again, we're going to appear very repetitive. I apologise, Your Honour, but the individual can choose.
So why is it necessary for the organisation to tell all of its adherents, you must shun that person?
Because the individual has not taken the decision to no longer associate or to no longer be involved with congregation activities, which is their right. They've taken the decision to say, I'm shunning the congregation, I'm no longer a part of the congregation, I put it in writing. So the individual takes that action and we understand the implications. When someone is disfellowshipped, the congregation takes that action. So the individual does not need to put themselves in a position where they're shunned. They can walk away, they can go to another congregation. That's their personal choice. But we understand and agree with the point you're making, Your Honour.
Well, you haven't answered the point, but we'll move on.
Answer the question, Mr. Spencer. You have not answered his Honour's question. His Honour's question is, why is it necessary to shun the person who disassociates? And before you answer, let me clarify one thing. The person who disassociates, both you and Mr. O'Brien have now said it, you said that they shun the organisation. They don't necessarily at all. They're talking about someone who just doesn't want to be part of it anymore. They still want to have their friends, their family, and everything else, their social network. So accept that kind of person, but it disassociates. Now, why is it necessary to have a policy that everyone else must now shun them?
Again, that's a decision the person makes, because that individual...
Thinks that is an answer.
Mr. Stewart, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. I think we should...
Well, the real answer to the question is because you say the Bible says so. That's the answer, isn't it?
Yes, that's our understanding of the scriptural disfellowshipping and disassociation doctrine.
I should just say also that in relation to the point that Mr. O'Brien, you made, and Mr. Spinks as well, I think, and that's that a person can become inactive without disassociating and in that way not be shunned. Now, without going through that evidence again, I just want to say to you that that's highly contested by a lot of people as to whether that is possible. I know you say that's the case. A lot of other people say it isn't.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood, but...
The simple point is, and I'll let you respond, but I'm not going to go down this path we went down it before. The simple point is this. A person who does not want to be active in the organisation anymore, in order to avoid being shunned, must disassociate. There isn't a category of membership of inactive and nevertheless welcome.
Sorry, Mr. Stewart, that's...
I know you disagree. That's
well,
fine.
when we've put it in print, I mean...
The only point I'm making is that that's not accepted.
Again, and I apologise, Your Honour has said we're repeating the point, but we have a very clear understanding of the difference between someone being inactive, no longer an active member of the congregation, and someone who takes a decision to disassociate. That's clear to us, but we agree to disagree.
Going on to the question of redress.
It is painfully obvious that the two representatives repeatedly avoided answering the question, but rather chose to place the blame on the victim for making the wrong technical choice for resigning. What is the difference between choosing no longer to associate and officially disassociating from the organization? By the way, both can be accomplished by making a verbal statement. I searched for the term fade in Watchtower publications and was unable to find any reference to it as being an option for a person that wishes to resign from Jehovah's Witnesses. So if a baptized witness simply ceases to attend congregation meetings and participate in the preaching activity, he or she, though inactive, is still considered a member of the organization. How a person can resign, explained on the official website. Yes, a person can resign from our organization in two ways. By formal request. Either orally or in writing, a person can state his decision that he no longer wants to be known as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. By action, a person can take an action that places him outside our worldwide brotherhood. For example, he might join another religion and make known his intention to remain part of it. What if a person no longer preaches or attends your meetings? Do you view that person as having resigned? No, we do not. Resigning or disassociating oneself is different from becoming weak in faith. Often, those who for a time slow down or stop in their worship have not abandoned their faith, but are suffering from discouragement. Rather than shunning such ones, we try to give them consolation and support. If the person wants help, congregation elders take the lead in providing spiritual assistance. However, the elders are not authorized to coerce or pressure someone to remain as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Each person makes his own choice regarding religion. We believe that those who worship God must do so willingly, from the heart. As you can see, a person does not even have to make a request either orally or in writing. It could also be accomplished simply by joining another religion. So, a resignation is considered the same as having disassociated. Fading is considered being inactive. This is why there was such a communication breakdown at the Royal Commission. It all revolved around the proper definition of terms. However, when Jeffrey Jackson said a person can choose not to disassociate, but still tell anyone they want, they are no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses, he was not telling the truth.
Someone no longer wants to be known as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. They must then dissociate, is that right?
Well, again, please, if they want to take the action of doing that, but of course they have total freedom if they don't want to apply to officially be removed as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. They can tell anyone they want that they're no longer a Jehovah's Witness.
I'm sure you can now see that this was a lie. Another lie told was that while disfellowshipping is a congregation action, a person that resigns takes the action to shun the congregation. This is false because in both cases, shunning is an action taken by the congregation, not the person that resigns. Notice how this was revealed in Rodney Spink's testimony.
So the individual takes that action, and we understand the implications. When someone is disfellowshipped, the congregation takes that action. So the individual does not need to put themselves in a position where they're shunned. They can walk away, they can go to another congregation. That's their personal choice.
It is simply false to say by resigning from a religion, a person desires to cut off all contact with family members and friends that remain part of that religion. But why is it necessary for the organization to tell adherents to shun persons that choose to resign? Why did these two representatives resist so strongly, giving a simple answer to that question? Is the question unanswerable? Actually, the Watchtower Society has printed what they believe are scriptural reasons for shunning persons that resign from the organization. Note this answer given in book Remain in God's Love. In a loving family, each member does his part to make the others happy. But imagine that one person rebels. Everybody in the family tries again and again to help him, but he rejects the help. He may decide to leave home, or the head of the family may have to ask him to leave. Something similar can happen in the congregation. A person may choose to keep doing things that displease Jehovah and harm the congregation. He rejects help and shows by his actions that he no longer wants to be part of the congregation. He may choose to leave the congregation himself, or he may have to be disfellowshipped. If this happens, the Bible clearly says that we should stop keeping company with him. This can be very difficult if he is a friend of ours or a member of our family. But in a situation like this, our loyalty to Jehovah must be stronger than our loyalty to anyone else. The disfellowshipping arrangement is a loving provision from Jehovah. It keeps the congregation safe from those who do not care about Jehovah's standards. It helps us to show love for Jehovah's holy name, for his high standards, and for Jehovah himself. And the disfellowshipping arrangement shows love for the person who is no longer a member of the congregation. This strong discipline may help him to realize that what he is doing is wrong and motivate him to change. Many who were once disfellowshipped later returned to Jehovah and were warmly welcomed back into the congregation. Remain in God's love, pages 39 through 40. There are a number of issues that need to be explored here. First, even the Watchtower Society recognizes that using the silent treatment as a way to coerce persons to comply is cruel. They also recognize the harmful effects of social isolation. So, how could they then turn around and say that a loving God supports shunning? Then there's the matter of treating persons that resign in the same way as a person disfellowshipped for being an unrepentant sinner. Does the Bible support the shunning of persons that have resigned and are no longer members? No. The only scripture that mentions a person leaving the Christian congregation is 1 John 2:19. First of all, the previous verse shows that the type of person being spoken about is an antichrist. Secondly, the verse mentions nothing about shunning the person. The most that can be said is if you couple what is said about an antichrist here with what it says in 2 John 9 through 11, you would not let him into your home or wish him success if he were trying to undermine the teachings of Christ. For further information, I invite you to watch the video. Why is shunning necessary? The Watchtower Society shows a complete lack of ability or desire to recognize the possibility that a person resigning from the organization could do so out of a sense of duty toward God. They recognize no honorable reason for leaving the organization. This black and white thinking causes them to distrust anyone outside of the organization as being evil. Persons leaving the organization are viewed as worse than non-witnesses since they are considered as having rejected God. The organization then feels it is important to protect its members from corruption. This is the real reason why shunning is practiced. With this background information, it is not difficult to see the predicament both Rodney Spinks and Terrence O'Brien found themselves in. How could they possibly say that the congregation needed to be protected from a victim of child sexual abuse? What danger did the victim pose, especially when it is clear the victim was only taking measures to protect herself from an institution that failed to protect her from abuse? Yet in their literature, the organization frequently denounces other religions for suppressing the right to freedom of worship of their members, when such want to accept a Bible study with Jehovah's Witnesses. The following appeared in a 2009 Awake article entitled, "Is it Wrong to Change Your Religion?" Although the Bible makes a clear distinction between true and false teachings, God allows each person the freedom to choose how he or she will respond. No one should be forced to worship in a way that he finds unacceptable or be made to choose between his beliefs and his family. Does study of the Bible lead to family breakup? No. In fact, the Bible encourages a husband and wife who practice different religions to remain together as a family. Wake, July 2009, pages 20, 8, and 29. However, this freedom to choose is not allowed among members of Jehovah's Witnesses. So, in answer to the question at the outset, it would appear that Jehovah's Witnesses indeed do champion the right to freedom of religion, but only for its leadership. For those that disagree with the leadership, the organization appeals to the Constitution for the right to exercise their freedom of worship, to put in place a policy requiring adherents to cut off all social contact with dissenters. Is this not a violation of human rights? Article 18. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas. through any media, and regardless of frontiers. Article 20. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. No one may be compelled to belong to an association. UN Declaration of Human Rights.